We are approaching a pivotal moment in human history, one that has been prophesied for thousands of years. Ancient Jewish sages and early Christian fathers believed that the world would last exactly 6,000 years before entering a millennial Sabbath. This timeline is based on the biblical account of creation, where God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh day, establishing a pattern for human history that spans 7,000 years, with each day representing 1,000 years. The creation week wasn't just about the past, it pointed to the future. God could have created the world instantly, but he chose to create over 6 days and then rest on the seventh, encoding the entire timeline of human history into the creation week itself. The Apostle Peter wrote in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, that with the Lord, 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. This divine equation for understanding prophetic time reveals that the creation week is a 7,000-year roadmap for human history. Breaking down the creation week into its constituent parts, we see that each day corresponds to a specific period in human history. Day 1 equals years 1 to 1,000 from Adam to Noah, the age of innocence ending in judgment. Day 2 equals years 1,001 to 2,000, from Noah to Abraham, the age of conscience and covenant beginnings. Day 3 equals years 2,001 to 3,000, from Abraham to Moses, the establishment of God's chosen people. Day 4 equals years 3,001 to 4,000, from Moses to Christ, the age of law and prophetic preparation. Day 5 equals years 4,001 to 5,000, the early church age, with the gospel spreading to the Gentiles. Day 6 equals years 5,001 to 6,000, the completion of the church age. The sixth day represents 6,000 years of human effort to rule itself, with 6,000 years of trying to build paradise without God. The seventh day represents 1,000 years of Christ doing what humanity could never do, which is ruling in perfect righteousness. The pattern is beautiful in its symmetry and profound in its implications. According to biblical scholars, we are somewhere between 5,988 and 5,997 years since creation, which means we could be anywhere from 3 to 12 years away from hitting the 6,000-year mark. Ancient Jewish and early Christian sources agree that the transition from the 6th millennium to the 7th millennium wouldn't be gradual or peaceful. It would be marked by catastrophic events and global upheaval. Jesus himself described this period using remarkably similar language in Matthew chapter 24 verse 6 to 8, calling these events the beginning of sorrows, birth pangs, the footsteps of the Messiah, the final labor pains before the new age is born. The question isn't whether this transition will happen. The ancient sources are unanimous that it will. The question is whether we are the generation that gets to witness it. If the numbers are accurate, if the timeline is correct, if the signs are pointing to what they appear to be pointing to, then we are living at the most significant moment in human history since creation itself. The footsteps are getting louder, the birth pangs are getting stronger, and the transition is approaching. The 7th millennium will be the most blessed and sanctified period in all of human history. According to Revelation 20 and Isaiah 11, Satan will be bound, and the earth will be transformed. Predators will become peaceful, and the knowledge of God will cover the earth. This is what happens when the 7th day begins. No more war, no more poverty, no more disease, no more death, no more corruption, no more injustice. Everything broken will be fixed, everything stolen will be restored, and everything wrong will be made right. But there's another ancient timeline that converges with the 6,000-year pattern. The Jubilee system, established in Leviticus 25, is a prophetic timing mechanism that God himself established in Scripture. Every 50 years, debts were forgiven, slaves were freed, and land was returned to its original owners. The Jubilee cycles were God's way of structuring history into measurable prophetic periods, with certain Jubilees marking the most significant events in his redemptive plan for humanity. If we calculate the Jubilee cycles from the time they were first established, we may currently be living in the final Jubilee period before Christ's return. From 1406 BC to 2025 AD, we can calculate exactly how many complete Jubilee cycles have occurred. 68 complete Jubilee cycles have been completed, and we're currently in the 69th cycle. But according to some calculations, we may actually be living in the final years of what could be the 70th Jubilee cycle since the system was established. The number 70 in biblical prophecy is the number of divine completion. This convergence of the 6,000-year timeline and the Jubilee system is not a coincidence. It's a divine signpost indicating that we are approaching the end of human government and the beginning of divine government. For 6,000 years, God has allowed humanity to try every form of government, every economic system, every philosophy, every religion, every ideology. But when the seventh millennium begins, when Christ returns to establish his kingdom, human government ends forever. The sixth day is when humanity tries to rule itself. The seventh day is when Christ rules everything. And according to the calculations of ancient Jewish sages, early Christian fathers, and modern biblical chronologists, that transition may be happening in our lifetime. We may not just be living through the end of an age. We may be living through the birth pangs of paradise. The question is, are we ready for the seventh day to begin? Are we prepared to witness the transition from human government to divine government? Are we ready to see the fulfillment of every promise God has made about the future? The answer to these questions will determine how we live our lives in these final moments before the dawn of the seventh millennium. So, let's paint a picture of what the Bible actually teaches about this coming seventh millennium. Revelation 20 describes a world where Satan is bound, and Christ reigns supreme. Isaiah 11 describes a world where predators become peaceful, and the knowledge of God covers the earth. This is what happens when the seventh day begins. No more war, no more poverty, no more disease, no more death, no more corruption, no more injustice. Everything broken will be fixed, everything stolen will be restored, and everything wrong will be made right. The seventh millennium will be the most blessed and sanctified period in all of human history. It's a time of divine restoration, when God himself will dwell among humanity, and we will live in perfect harmony with him and with each other. It's a time of unprecedented peace, prosperity, and joy, and it's a time that may be approaching faster than we think. So, let's ask ourselves, are we ready for the seventh day to begin? Are we prepared to witness the transition from human government to divine government? Are we ready to see the fulfillment of every promise God has made about the future? If so, then let's live our lives with anticipation, with expectation, and with hope. Let's live our lives in light of the seventh millennium, and let's be ready to welcome the dawn of a new beginning in human history.